Hello, everybody, and welcome to the show. We are trying this again. We had a little bit of technical difficulties. I found out that for some reason our sound wasn't coming through. Really kind of a bizarre thing, but we have no shortage of technical difficulties on this show because it seems like they do not want this show out there. But we are still here, and we are still going to push to get the truth out no matter what we have to do. So thank you guys for bearing with me. Thank you for being here. Glad to be back. I've been missing in action a little bit. It's not because I was sitting around. I have been running around doing all sorts of things. I am working on some very important top secret projects to try and help save our country because our country is going to hell. Our elected class does not care what we the people want. They don't care. Last 2 weeks, I just got back from Washington, D.C., which is just, whatever y'all think, it's worse. It really is. I would challenge any of you 5D chess, trust the plan folks to spend a day or two with me in Washington. Just listen to what I hear. And if you still think that there's some sort of 5D chess going on, folks, I've got news for you. The only chess being played is the game being played against we the people, and it is not a good game. It is downright ugly. I will tell you that. And it's not going well. You know what? I don't even have to tell you. You know what? You want to know how little our elected officials care about us? Let me just show you this. Right now, we'll just start out right here. Let me show you this. This is Donald Trump on data centers, right? So we're going to listen. Nobody wants data centers, right? Nobody, but let's hear this.
Because you have to convince your community how great these things. You can't fight it. You have to go with it. And you're going to have all that protection, and we're giving you automatic protection, but you're going to make a tremendous amount of money. You're going to reduce taxes, and you're going to have something that if you don't have it, everybody else wants it.
Okay, so there's Donald Trump. He doesn't give a damn whether you want a data center in your community. You're just going to have to convince your communities how great they are and go along with it. You don't have a choice. Suck it up, folks. The president doesn't give a damn whether you want a data center in your community or not. Now, let me ask you something. If Joe Biden said that, would any of you be mad? Who'd be happy about that? I got to be honest with you. You have a vast majority of America does not want these data centers. We're going to make a lot of money off of it. How is that? How are we going to make a lot of money off of giving hundreds or thousands of acres away for these data centers of community land that are all getting tax breaks? And bringing in a whopping 1 or 2 jobs. I mean, they're data centers. Once they're up and running, after they're built, how many jobs are you going to get? 20, 30? I mean, it's ridiculous. They don't provide anything. And as we see the push to end property tax, well, which is great, we should end property tax. What do you think's going to happen? Where's the money going to come? They're going to rape our communities. They're going to steal our water. They're going to poison our water because Trump just rolled back PFAS protections so they can pollute the hell out of things. And they're going to drive up energy costs because they use massive amounts of energy. There is nothing good about these, but nobody cares. There is not a single person in Washington. Well, that's not true. There's a couple good elected officials, but by and large, our elected officials don't give a damn what we the people want. They don't care what we the people want. They are just there looking to pad their pockets and get the hell out of town. And it is just disheartening at best. I mean, to hear the president say that is, I will fought hard for President Trump, but it's just nothing but disappointing. It is just nothing but disappointing. And you got to ask right before midterms, what is Trump thinking? He's out trying to force something on America that Americans don't want. Really? What happened to shaking hands and kissing babies if you wanted to win the elections? Now we've got just suck it up. It doesn't matter what you want. Folks, I'm frustrated today. I ain't going to lie to you. We're going to get into a whole bunch of things. We're going to get into the Democrats to start out with, because I can't argue with the fact that people say, well, the Democrats are worse. That's true. They are. Maybe not much worse, but they are worse. Before we do, I need your help. I need your support. We're going to keep telling the truth, but we can't do it without your help. GiveSendGo.com/Renzlaw. GiveSendGo.com/Renzlaw. Give us what you can, weekly, monthly, daily. We're so grateful. You know how many people still give to us? I mean, it makes me feel so good that there's still people who believe in the truth, who still care. They're interested in actual evidence, actual truth. That's what we do here. We don't care. I mean, we want to support Trump. We want to support people, but we're going to tell the truth. And if, it doesn't matter who it is. If they're doing a bad job, we're going to talk about it. And these data centers are a bad job, but, that aside. So please help us out. GiveSendGo.com/Renzlaw. Also go to TomRenz.com. www.tomrenz.com. Click on shop, check out partners and affiliates, and don't forget our new partner, Nutrition Elements. Man, I love these guys. Use checkout code Renz. They give you a huge discount. Checkout code Renz, Renz. Their sleep gummies are some of the best things I've ever seen. I love their rise and shine. If you heard about the mushroom coffee, all the health benefits of mushrooms, which are beyond words. I mean, they're being used all over the place. Did you know mushrooms are a mainstream treatment or part of a treatment for cancer in Japan? Yeah. Mushrooms have tremendous benefits in a lot of cases. But check out their Rise and Shine coffee. It's a wonderful, wonderful product. And make sure you're checking out their muscle cream. If you're sore, man, that stuff works. It is great. I love that stuff. I'm really proud to have partnered with Nutrition Elements, man. They are great people. I love these guys. Make sure you're checking them out. We're gonna get their founder on with us because he's becoming a good friend. Evan Bosma, shout out to him. Good man, great company. You know what's great about Nutrition Elements is even though they're doing a lot of business, doing a lot of things, if you call, you may actually get to talk to the boss. Evan still answers the phones. The guy is just relentless in his work and in his belief. He's a good dude. Of course, Global Healing, men's hormone support. We love them. Check out code Renz also. But scroll down today. I want to highlight our friends at Rocasa. Here they are. Listen, Rocasa, God's medicine cabinet, right? Good faith-based company, great people. Check out code Renz. You get a huge discount. Listen, they have everything. They got stuff for guys. They got stuff for women. The thing that I like about it, though, is they've got good stuff for women. And, I suck at buying gifts for women. So if you want to buy your better half a gift, make sure you check Rocasa. Now, pro tip, they sell cleaning supplies, natural, healthy cleaning supplies. Don't buy those for your wife or girlfriend. Those are not a good gift. I've tried it. It didn't go well. It was a very poor decision. Don't buy your happy anniversary, a whole box of cleaning supplies. It doesn't work. Does not work. It's a bad decision. Don't do that. But do check out Rocasa. Use Renz at checkout, and you get a big discount. Wonderful product, wonderful partner. I'm glad to have him. All right. I want to get into Tim Walz. Tampon Tim himself, right? Tampon Tim. So I tried, maybe I'd block this out, but Tampon Tim has his appointee over here. His appointee, the guy that he appointed to one of his workforce development programs or something like that, murdered a bunch of Democrats, right? And Not the Bee has a great article about this, and they talk about how this guy kills a bunch of Democrats. All the Democrats were in a fury, saying, "We got this political violence here. Democrat senators and House members all getting killed. It's awful. We got to stop the political violence." Then we found out that they were killed by a Democrat, a leftist loon. And then suddenly there was silence. The Democrats, I mean, I don't really know what to say about the Democrats. I don't even know that how can we even call them a viable political party at this point? It is insane what these people do. But Vance Bolter was convicted and sentenced to murder. He got 2 life sentences plus 40 years, which just means he's going to spend the rest of his life in jail. You really can't serve 2 life sentences. It's meaningless when that happens. It just means you're stuck there for a long time. But yeah, he's going to be in jail for the rest of his life. But it was interesting because if you read this, this was interesting because when I read this story, they forgot a very, very important point. I didn't, however, so I'm going to remind you all. So Bolter, he goes to Senator John Hoffman and his wife Yvette. He goes up there dressed as a police officer, shoots them both multiple times, and then he leaves. Now, they both survived. Unfortunately, he did shoot them, a horrible, horrible thing. But they both survived. But then after he leaves, he goes over to Melissa Hortman's house, right? And Senator Mark Hortman. So we had Senator Mark Hortman, Rep. Melissa Hortman. He goes to their house and he shoots and kills them. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Obviously tragic, but interesting. So Bolter goes over there, and Bolter was appointed to by Tim Walz to his workforce development board, right? And he's a big, no kings guy. He just hates Trump. He's just the worst. He's a terrible human being. And Bolter is killing these guys and does his thing. And while he's killing them, there's a couple cops sitting there that could come in and save the day, but they just sit there, almost like they had a stand down order. I'm not suggesting they did, but almost like they had a stand down order, right? Now, here's the part that the B forgot. Now, when the B talked about this, and here's where you got the cops, right? It says right here, unbelievable. These cops just stood by. Here it is. I'll show you the tweet. We've got it right here. If it's a little bit slow coming up. Twitter is always slow coming up for some reason. But Minnesota law enforcement officials reported that the two Minnesota police officers were already on the scene watching before killer Vance Bolter ever stepped inside Hortman's house. They saw the killer in the driveway wearing a Halloween mask and fake uniform and engaged him. They had a short firefight. The police sat and watched as he entered the house. So they get a little scuffle with this guy. He goes in the house. They let him go in the house. And instead of doing something, they just kind of sit there while he kills this woman and her husband. I mean, it's insane, right? So here, the thing that the B forgot, though, the B forgot one thing. The B forgot this. This is the letter that Vance Bolter hand wrote, and that they found in his car, right? He wrote this letter and found it in his car. Now, you can't really, it's hard to read this. You can kind of say, Dear Cash Patel, my name is Dr. Vance Luther Bolter, EDD. I am whatever. You can barely read it. So the good news is, though, is that this letter was transcribed in the indictment for Bolter. So let me read it to you. Here it is. Dear Cash Patel, my name is Dr. Vance Luther Bolter, EDD. I am the shooter at large in Minnesota involved in the two shootings the morning of Saturday, June 15th at approximately 2:30 and 3:30 a.m. around that time. I will probably be dead by the time you read this letter. So this guy thought he was going to die. I wanted to share some info with you might find interesting. I was trained by the U.S. military people off book starting in college. Now that sounds like MK Ultra, doesn't it? I have been on projects since that time in Eastern Europe, North America, Middle East, and Africa, all in the line of doing what I thought was right in the best interests of the United States. This guy sounds like an operative, doesn't he? Now, I don't know. They're saying he's crazy, which obviously he's crazy, but he's been on projects. He's been trained. That's interesting. Recently, I was approached about the project that Tim Walz wanted done, and blank blank and Keith blank was also aware of the project. So there's witnesses, right? He specifically names witnesses. Tim wanted me to kill Amy Klobuchar and Tina whatever. Tim wants to be a senator, and he doesn't trust someone to retire as planned and thinks she's going to stay on at the last minute. With Amy plus gone, Tim would get one of the Senate seats to be governor, and Keith Ellison would be rewarded with a position. Wait, what? Now, mind you, this guy in his letter cites and gives names and gives actual things that could be investigated to verify, right? He says, I told Tim I wanted nothing to do with it, and if he didn't call off the plan, I'd go public. He said he would call it hurt my family if I did play ball, right? So he said, apparently he threatened him. Then he set up a meeting with me and someone else, talked about the options. When I said I had some people wanting to kill me, I was able to get away by God's mercy, so I went back short time later and shot both something and something. You should notice how I didn't fire one round at any police officers, and boy, did I have plenty of opportunity. Ask for the report on how many weapons and ammunition I had with me. Cops were pulling up right next to me in their vehicles. I had an AK pistol aimed right at her head, and I could have left a pile of cops dead, but I did shoot. I bullet towards law enforcement. You can ask them, because I support the police and don't want to see them hurt. Now, wait a second. This guy's out killing people, but in his letter, he's talking about he doesn't want to kill the cops, and he's giving verifiable and interesting information. He goes on, but if they're hurting my wife and kids next time, I won't give them a pass. If you think I'm making this up, just get on the phone and tell Tim you have a few questions for him. Well, that seems like an easy thing for Cash Patel to do, doesn't it? He says, then ask Tim Walz if he knows me and see what he says. If he says he doesn't know me or never look at the files, and you'll see that Tim Walz personally appointed me on his governor's workforce board as one of the business representatives. He's probably trying to destroy that info, but it's public record. Then ask Tim Walz why he kept the shots silent from the media when they first happened. Not a word to the press about it. Why? They needed to get their stories figured out, so everyone was on the same page about what happened. Tim is probably crapping bricks right now because I'm still at large and he knows what I can do, and that I know about where all the buried skeletons are. So I will be shot on sight if you can bet on that. So he's writing. This is the words of the shooter, the convicted murderer, right? And by the way, he didn't get off on a temporary insanity plea, did he? If you want me to turn myself in, need to be directly to you, then I need to be held in military prison in Asia or Middle East, or at least a military ship over there. These guys have their guns everywhere and they can get to anybody. I'm willing to spill all the beans. I just want my family safe. They had nothing to do with this and are totally innocent. This was a one-person job. That's the letter. Now, that letter is obviously by someone who's a convicted murderer. But that letter, to me, doesn't sound like the ramblings of a totally insane person. He literally gives things that Cash Patel could look into. Here's the interesting thing. Are you aware that no one has investigated this? There has been no investigation. No one even called Tim Walz and said, hey, is this true? Nobody asked about the other people that he listed as in the room. Nobody checked into this at all. This guy left names. He left everything. Not a word. Not a word. He claims he was trained by the military. Sounds a little MK Ultra. Sounds a little like an off-books project. Sounds like an op, doesn't it? But no one bothered to look into this. This nutbag, this Vance Bolter, is making some real serious claims here that are actually things that could easily be looked into. But there was no investigation at all. You have 3 elected officials shot, 2 killed, and a fourth person who was a wife of an elected official who was shot. You have a conviction, and yet no one is investigating an admission with evidence it's not that hard to verify. Can anyone explain this to me? Can anyone explain to me how this works? You want to talk about a 2-tiered justice system? You want to know how bad our DOJ is? We have a Republican Department of Justice. Why would they not look into Tim Walz? Why would someone not dig into this? He's talking about the military. This is absolutely federal. There's absolutely a lot of reasons for the feds to look into this. No one's touching it. Why? This is the question I've had for quite some time. Why is no one looking into this? Why is no one asking basic questions? This doesn't even make sense to me. I mean, imagine any other person in the world being accused of ordering a murder. The cops have a note, and it lists people who are allegedly witnesses to this. And no one even bothers to pick up the phone and call. No one bothers to say, hey, is this true? Nobody looks to see if there's any records of this guy being involved with the military. Now, mind you, if this was an off-books project, as he alleges, you would have to dig pretty deep. You'd have to have pretty high clearance to get to what's going on. But there's records. The military keeps records of everything. There's no question about that. So what's going on here? Why is our DOJ not there? This is insane to me. We have a literal murder that's taken place implicating a governor who is a vice presidential candidate for the United States, and no one bothered to dig into this? Why would the Trump administration not dig into this? Now, I doubt Donald Trump himself actually has any clue about this because it wasn't reported. It is buried. But, I mean, Cash? What? Cash in here? You don't think? Of course, Cash doesn't look into the Epstein files either. And we saw the missing time, and the video was released around Epstein's suicide, if you want to call it that. So what's going on? I think this is a mind-blowingly, compelling conspiracy theory, and something that really ought to be dug into, but nobody's even digging. I mean, this guy's telling you, hey, I had to go kill these guys because they're going to come after my family. I was trained. I was done this. I've done that. And these are things that there's records of this. If any of it's true, there's records. But the thing that's amazing is the media, the police, everybody just played off, this guy's a nutbag, and it's not even worth looking into. It's not? It's not worth checking? Guys, I got to tell you something. If you or I or anybody else had someone left a note discussing witnesses to a murder conspiracy, I can assure you the FBI would follow up on that for us. Why won't they do it for Tim Walz? It's almost like they're protecting something, isn't it? Anyways, this whole thing made me sick. It made me sick. But I saw this headline, and it made me sick. But then I saw this, and this just made me laugh. We have trending today. Conservatives criticize Jim Jordan for investigations without results. Jim Jordan's out there bragging how he referred Jack Smith to DOJ because that's what Jim Jordan does. He shoots his mouth off. He does an investigation. It does nothing. It absolutely it never accomplished anything. I don't know that Jim Jordan's actually ever done anything ever. He's been in Congress forever. He's mastered shooting his mouth off and getting headlines and, getting on Fox News, but he never accomplishes anything ever other than investigations. Well, he did an investigation. He referred Jack Smith to the DOJ. Now, this is the same DOJ that won't even call Tim Walz or the witnesses to see if they had anything to do with this murder. He won't even call them. And so, yet we're supposed to be excited about him referring Jack Smith to the DOJ. So what? What's the DOJ going to do? They're not going to do a damn thing. This DOJ, I mean, they covered up the Epstein files. They've lied about everything. They don't go after anybody except for we the people. They do a great job. This DOJ is doing a great job of arresting low-level criminals who are not connected. But the high-level criminals, which is pretty much the entirety of Washington, D.C., they don't get touched. So you got Jordan over here, and if you look, Jim Jordan talks a big game but never actually does anything meaningful. Jim Jordan writes a mean letter, on and on. I mean, just when he means business, he pounds his fist on the desk, right? Jim Jordan explaining he's close to doing something other than just tweeting. This is the thing about Jordan. It just never does anything. But I found this whole thing to be really representative of where we are in our country. I mean, it really is. Where are we in our country? Well, we're at a place now where you can count on our country on the DOJ doing nothing as long as you're politically connected. If you're politically connected, there can be evidence of murder and they're not going to look into it. But boy, if you're not politically connected, they're going to hunt you down and put you in jail. This is the two-tier justice system. And, at the risk of making everybody mad, because I'm not already doing that, at the risk of making everybody mad, for years and years and years, we've heard our black brothers and sisters talk about, they're arrested for being black and those sorts of things. And they talk about the two-tiered system of justice. Now, as an attorney, I will tell you this. I have never met, and I mean this, I've never met a judge or another attorney that was racist against black people. Now, I have ran across a few that were racist against white people, but I've never met one that was racist against black people. And that's a good thing. We shouldn't have racism. Nobody wants that. But I will tell you the two-tiered system of justice is real. The thing that really is confused the issue is the left wants to promote hatred amongst the people. They want to divide we the people. So they spend a lot of time, groups like the Southern Poverty Law Center, who we now know was funding the KKK and the Nazis. They spend a lot of time dividing us and convincing people that it's because of the color of your skin that you're not seeing equal justice. It's not about the color of your skin. It's whether you're politically connected or rich. If you have enough money or you're politically connected, you can get away with whatever you want. If you're not, if you're just a regular person, you're in trouble. And that's really what's behind this two-tiered system of justice. It's not about whether or not you're black, you're white, you're yellow. It doesn't matter what your skin color is. It's about whether you're rich and connected. That's a really sad statement to make, but that is where we are as a nation. And I just don't know what else to say about it. It's just where we are. So that said, I want to move on to some other things because I can only handle so much of that before I get nauseated. Cholesterol. By the way, I don't know what's going on with X. I love X as a platform. But the censorship on X, they've openly said you got freedom of speech. You can say what you want, and they do. And God bless Elon Musk for that. But the freedom of reach thing means that it's an illusion, right? If I stand in my room with the door closed and scream truth all day long, it doesn't matter. The purpose of social media was to become a platform, a town square, a place where we can share information, share ideas with each other, communicate, where we can debate. We don't even need to agree. I want to see things I disagree with. I can't on my Twitter feed because all it does is show me what people that it thinks I like. But the reality is that Twitter's really become a place of censorship, a place where your reach is limited. I mean, consistently. I see myself losing that on Twitter. And it's kind of appalling because I really like the platform. And I loved the platform when Musk first took over because you could really reach people. I was viral all the time. Shortly thereafter, they started changing things. And really, since this administration's came in, the freedom of reaching has exploded. I mean, if you were speaking out against the Susie Wiles administration or anything of the sort, if you're talking about the problems with this Iran war, or if you don't like Benjamin Netanyahu, or if you're unhappy with track and trace, that stuff gets shut down big, and you can tell what you're not supposed to talk about based on how much freedom of reach you don't have. That's clear as day. So they claim that the algorithm's looking for fast moving things, a lot of response in the first minute, all these different things. But I've checked. I've had some of that. Yeah, you put something up, you get all sorts of response, and you still get no views. It's really the AI system is structured in X right now to keep things. I actually get better reach on Facebook and Instagram right now than I do on X, which is mind blowing because I have a fraction of the followers. I mean, we only started on Facebook and Instagram not that long ago because for so long, you get threw off if you told the truth about anything. But now Facebook and Instagram, you're actually getting more reach than you do on X. TikTok is still horrific. You can't talk about anything of substance there. YouTube still censors the hell out of you. But X has really been disappointing to me. I got to tell you guys. So anyways, on X, I see this. X post on perfect cholesterol sparks statin debate, right? And there's all this stuff. You got all these guys talking about statins and this, that, and other. And how do you guys feel? This guy says, how do you feel about statins? My doc wants me to start low dose. And he goes on. You can scroll down and you see people talking about this. And I want to highlight this post by Angela. I was taking them. My knees were bad. Told I needed surgeries on both. I stopped statins. At least 50% of my pain is gone. I thought I'd be in excruciating pain till my dying day. Statins kill. So glad I stopped them. Everybody and their brother is on statins. They're like statins, antidepressants, there's a few core drugs. The doctors just pass them out like candy. And, this whole thing on statins is really interesting, right? So the lady that talked about her knees being better, right? There's a reason for that. Cholesterol is vital to your life. But cholesterol, I did a little homework on cholesterol, right? And I'm borderline carnivore. I'm not a perfect carnivore, but my diet leans very carnivore. I love the carnivore diet. I would love to be able to do it perfectly. It's a little bit tough with all my travel, but I love the carnivore diet. Cholesterol is obviously a big part of that, and people on carnivore diet seem to have no problems, right? They seem to have no problems. Why is that? Well, cholesterol is critical for maintaining cell membrane structure and function. It's really, really important. Fluidity, permeability, all these different things, you have to have cholesterol or it doesn't work. It's a precursor for steroid hormones, right? And all the sex hormones, estrogen, testosterone, progesterone, adrenal hormones. You don't have cholesterol, you don't have any of them. We all know that there's a war on testosterone. You can't synthesize vitamin D, so without cholesterol, so you're going to be sicker. You can't produce bile, which your liver needs. You can't digest your food without bile, right? So you got to have that. A nervous system, your myelin sheath, cholesterol's all there. It contributes to all sorts of things. Your eyes, cellular processes, growth and development. And there's a lot of stuff coming out now about the importance of cholesterol potentially in staving off dementia and affecting brain health. Cholesterol does a ton of very, very important things in your body, but it's been demonized, kind of like anything that's healthy for you, they always demonize. This stems from way back when they started pushing sugar and telling you that fat's terrible. You should eat a bunch of processed sugar, which is the worst thing on the planet. By the way, cancer, eat sugar. So, when you eat processed sugar, in fact, you guys know PET scans, right? If you get a PET scan, that's the scan that they use to detect cancer. Do you know what they do? They inject radioactive sugar into your body because they can see the radioactive sugar when they scan you. And they know that if they inject radioactive sugar, it's all going to immediately go to any cancer that you have. The cancer cells eat the sugar they just love it. They eat it, right? So they use sugar to detect cancer because cancer just gobbles it up. So, there was this push years ago by big food to really push people into sugars and away from fats. Well, fats were never the problem, right? I work out a ton. I'm in good shape. I'm almost 50 years old, and I'm better shape than most 20-year-olds. And I eat a lot of fats. I do. It's great. It's good for me, right? Sugar is not so much. And I will tell you, the more sugar I eat, the worse I feel. I can feel the inflammatory response I get when I eat a lot of processed sugars. Any sugars are rough, but the processed sugars are horrific. So there's this push to convince everybody that fat's bad and sugars are okay, which we now know sugars aren't okay, but there's still a lot of, just bad connotations around the fats. The fats aren't all that bad for you, and cholesterol's not all that bad for you. But let me tell you about statins, because they feed them to everybody to keep your cholesterol down, which you need. You need cholesterol, but you take these statins, and this is from the FDA, right? Common side effects. So the common side effects: muscle aches, pain, tenderness, weakness, cramps, all sorts of problems with your muscles, right? You have headaches, digestive issues, which makes sense because you don't have bile production if your cholesterol is too low. So you got all sorts of problems there. Fatigue, drowsiness, tiredness, dizziness, joint or back pain, which again, Angela, who we talked about, had the post, talked about her knees. Well, when you're not getting sufficient cholesterol, your cell membranes are breaking. It's hard on your joints, hard on your muscles. Sleep problems, skin issues, right? Now, these are recognized side effects. Now, the less common side effects: pins and needles sensations, numbness, tingling, right? So you got neuropathy type symptoms, hair loss, sexual problems. I wonder why that is. Statins, they eliminate cholesterol. Cholesterol is necessary for your sex hormones: progesterone, estrogen, testosterone. You got to have it, or you don't produce. Well, geez, Who'd have thought that that caused problems? So the sexual problems, ED, low libido, those sorts of things, well, you don't get enough cholesterol, that's what you're going to have. Low platelet levels, cold-like symptoms. And then you have liver effects, elevated liver enzymes. Your liver is just all messed up because you got to have cholesterol for your liver to function. And guess what? No liver, no life. Your liver is critical, right? Increased blood sugar, new onset type 2 diabetes. You can actually get these low cholesterol from these statins can actually result in diabetes. No kidding, right? Neurological and cognitive impacts. Remember, cholesterol impacts brain health. So you're on statins for years. There's a real question. There's no causality proven yet because they won't study it. But are these statins contributing to the explosion in dementia? I would argue that maybe they are, right? Severe muscle damage, myopathy, all sorts of different things. You can have all sorts of, because you don't have what your body needs. So it just things break down. Pancreatitis, allergic reactions, rashes, hives, swelling, autoimmune issues, muscle issues. I mean, all sorts of, these are just the known side effects of statins. So the statins get rid of something your body needs and then causes all these side effects. Why are these things being passed out like candy? How many of you that are on statins knew that these were going to screw with your libido? Did you guys know that? Did your doctor tell you, hey, get on these, stay on these, we're going to mega dose, your cholesterol's really high. By the way, your thing's going to quit working. Did you hear that? Or did they leave that part out? Did your doctor talk about the fact that you may have long-term issues with focus or muscles? You could have liver issues. Did your doctor tell you that? Or did he forget that when he gave you the side effect sheet? I'm guessing most doctors are. I'm guessing most of you guys on statins don't know this. But statins are a disaster. They're blocking something your body needs. And the whole thing is based on this garbage stuff that came out years ago on this nonsense related to cholesterol being the worst thing ever. And it's not that, there are things that you can eat badly, but cholesterol is not going to kill you. It's not the problem. Get rid of the sugars and you'll be fine. All right. So that's that. I want to move into Save America Act, right? So this headline on Twitter, I'll just show you right now. Pressure builds on Senate GOP for Save America Act before recess. Okay. I'm not even keeping that up there. So Save America. The SAVE Act is not what it says it is. And why the push? Well, let me show you this. The SAVE Act has been attached to the NDAA, the National Defense Authorization Act, right? That is the act that has Section 219 and other sections that ties our military to a foreign country, Israel in this case. But I got to be honest with you, I don't care which foreign country it's tied to. Our military cannot be tied to a foreign nation. Now, I pointed something out here, and I think this is relatively, I'm going to show you my tweet because it's important. So here I said, lawyer thought, Section 219 and the related sections of the NDAA literally have the capacity to mandate treason under the law. Now, let me explain this to you guys because I want you to understand what I'm saying here. Right now, I don't care what you feel about Israel. Right now, the president says Israel's our ally. Okay. That's now. What if Israel becomes our enemy, right? So right now they're our ally, but if Israel was to become our enemy, what happens? What happens? See, if Israel became our enemy, if they at some time in the future did this, and we have this act that says our military is sharing intel and doing work, well, that has some pretty big implications, right? Because it's going to restrict our president's ability to lead foreign policy, make foreign policy decisions, right? You got this law that says that we got to work with someone who could become our enemy. Well, that's unconstitutional. No question, that's unconstitutional, right? But further, the Constitution explicitly explicitly says and defines treason as giving aid and comfort to our enemies. Well, if Israel were to ever become our enemy, and this law is in place, this law is essentially mandating treason. This law is facially unconstitutional on so many levels. I don't even know where to begin. But they really, really want this Israel thing. I cannot. I mean, it's mind blowing. It's mind blowing, and the Republicans are loving it. The Republicans are in. They're all in. Like pretty much all the Republicans. There are just a handful of people who voted no. I mean, this has gone through. By the way, it's passed the House. It's now in the Senate. Now, this is interesting because the Senate. The Republicans in the Senate hate Donald Trump so bad that they don't want the SAVE Act to pass no matter what. And so now they're stuck between selling out to Israel and passing the SAVE Act, which is a really interesting thing. So you're seeing all this pressure building on John Thune and everything else to push the SAVE Act, but they're not actually doing that. They're doing that because 80% of America wants the SAVE Act, but nobody wants this Israel thing. So they're trying to give political cover to the Senate to pass the defense bill and pass the SAVE Act when the reality is that what they're going to do is push this Israel thing. Folks, it's bait and switch. This is, I'm sorry, the administration, Congress, this is bait and switch. This is bad policy, bad idea. It's garbage. There's nothing real about what's happening right now. And this is just bait and switch. Now, there is one other thing to consider. The SAVE Act, right? Now, the SAVE Act, I'm all in favor of ensuring that only citizens can vote. We want that. But how are they doing it? How are they doing it? Well, here's the deal. The SAVE Act defines documentary proof of United States citizenship as any of the following, right? Real ID, a valid passport, and then a few other things. Now, a passport, for some of you guys that don't want real ID, say, I'm going to get a passport. You should just know, anything that you submit for a passport is just as track and trace as real ID. The biometrics, the data, the picture, it's all tracked and traced. You just forget it if you think you're going to bypass real ID by getting a passport. There is no way around this, right? If you want to travel, you want to do things without a hassle, there is no workaround. You can't do it unless you're part of this track and trace system, right? There should be lawsuits over this, unfortunately, and there are some, but unfortunately, there's just people aren't aware of it. So the SAVE Act is pushing us towards this track and trace stuff because real ID is just track and trace. You can see at the top of my Twitter profile, it's still there. And I'm going to keep it there. I've got a whole thing laying out that real ID is nothing but a track and trace system. It's nothing but a system designed to ensure that the government can put you into their database, and that's precisely what they're doing with it. They're getting you in there, making sure it's compliant with everything that they want it to be, so that they can track and trace through their Palantir systems, which is horrible, to be honest. It's just horrific. So the real ID is the foundation of this. And you have to understand that this whole photo identification requirement requires that the eligible photo identification to vote in the federal election be, quote, issued by a state DMV. Well, what's that? Real ID, or a few other places. But it's got to contain a photograph. The ID with the photograph is about biometric data. It ties to flock. Did you know that? Those flock cameras, they recognize you. They take pictures of you, right? So they can identify you through your license plate or through your biometric data. Well, now that everybody's biometric data is part of this giant system, guess what? You're tracked and traced everywhere. And this just is a push to make sure that everybody's tracked and traced even more. The real ID system is not what it appears. And this whole SAVE Act thing is really, it's less about preventing voter fraud. If they wanted to stop voter fraud, just go to paper ballots and same-day voting. That's all you have to do. Hand count, paper ballots, same-day voting, no problem, right? That eliminates 99% of voter fraud. They won't do that. Instead, they're pushing this track and trace stuff. It's all about trading your freedoms for security, and you'll get neither. That's where this whole thing is going. That's what this is. It's a bait and switch. It's not real. It's not about anything legitimate. It is just really about building out this universal track and trace system, which will be the basis for vaccine IDs. It'll be the basis for CBDCs. That's what this is about. It's forcing people into the system. I think Trump knows this. I think he's just been told he has, you're going to go along with it or else. And I think he just is. I don't know. I don't know what else to say, because it's manifest if you're looking. I mean, I guess it's possible he doesn't know, but I don't know. Now, you got to understand, a lot of the stuff we're talking about is very unpopular. SAVE Act isn't, but this NDAA and this Israel thing, the war in Iran, this stuff isn't a little bit unpopular. This is mind-blowingly unpopular, like next level unpopular. And we're in a very, very tumultuous midterm season where Republicans are worried. Now, let me show you exactly how bad this is, right? So here, now I say Dems have gone full socialism, communism, are still leading. Why? Let me show you this poll. Generic ballot poll, 53% Dems, 41% Republicans. Now, I'll say to you guys this. Polls are largely garbage, but we're talking about a 12-point lead, right? It's one thing for the polls to be bad. It's another thing for them to be so bad that there's a 12-point lead. That is next level, right? That is just huge. Now, there's more. Let me go to this one. So this poll shows, and let me make it bigger. I want you guys to see this. Which political party, Democrats or Republicans? This is Fox News, by the way. So don't tell me this is a leftist poll. Well, it's Fox News, so it's a rhino poll, right? But it's a rhino poll, so you'd think they'd be going our way. Which political party, Democrats or Republicans, do you think would do a better job on each of the following? Income inequality. Democrats 60-38. Remember, it's economy, stupid? Healthcare, 60-39 Democrats. Inflation and prices. The Democrats who can't spend, I mean, look at what Biden did spending-wise. They are winning on inflation and prices. Remember Trump talking about how bad I can't believe how expensive aids are, Joe Biden. Well, that seems to have switched, hasn't it? The economy, Dems are up 54%. Foreign policy, Dems are up 53%. Government spending. How are the Democrats winning on government spending? 51. Immigration. Democrats are up a little bit. Immigration, folks. Trump's main issue. Of course, the fact that he's not deporting anybody now is kind of an issue. And now Mike Lindell coming out and saying, no, we need to do amnesty. Now, by the way, let me tell you about the Lindell and the amnesty thing. I'm going to go back to this. The only thing the Republicans are winning on, by the way, are crime and maybe national security. But Lindell comes out, and people are asking me about this, and I want to tell you guys what I think. So people are saying, well, what the hell's going on? Mike Lindell's coming out in favor of amnesty? Trump endorses him, and 5 minutes later that happens? What's going on here? I'll tell you what I think's going on. Susie Wiles decides we're going to push amnesty. She's never liked this deportation thing anyways. Trump got to play with it a little bit to get elected, but someone told me he's not allowed to do it anymore. So they've shut that down. They got rid of what's her name, and they got Markwayne Mullin, who's just all in on having illegals here. I mean, Markwayne Mullin is an absolute sellout. And I think they want to go with this amnesty thing. I think they're pushing it. And so what they're doing is Trump can't come out and talk amnesty. He can't. I mean, he would literally be slaughtered. That would be the end of it, right? He's already in deep, deep trouble going into the midterms, and he knows it. So what do? Hey, Lindell, we want you to push amnesty. In Minnesota, you got all these illegals, all these illegals up there, all these people in your state. We need you to push it. Just let's float this out there. Let's float this out there and see what they say. So Lindell floats it out there as a trial balloon. I think this was a trial balloon. I think they wanted to see what would happen. I think they wanted to see where the base would be and how mad it would make people. And they said, Lindell, we're going to give you our endorsement, our blessing, but you're going to have to play ball with us. I think that's what happened. I think Lindell is going to take the heat on this, but it's because that's where they want to go. That's where the White House wants to go. They want to go to this amnesty thing. I don't think there's any question about it in my mind, but because there's no other reason Lindell would do that. It's a terrible idea. It's wildly unpopular. And to do that right before an election, especially a close, Lindell's got a shot up there, or at least he did. Now it's like, I don't know. It's just looking bad. So we'll see what happens. But I personally think this is from the White House. Like I said, I from the beginning said that Wiles and crew are running the show. Wiles and crew are there to destroy MAGA. Well, what else is there, right? Now they're to the last issue that Trump is still doing good with MAGA on, which is immigration and crime, and they're destroying that too. This is about dividing and destroying the MAGA movement. They want to get the Bushes back in there and get these rhinos back in there. They want to destroy it. They want to demoralize us. Those of us that were MAGA, that were fighting MAGA Maha space, it's been all about demoralizing and destroying the movement. That's the goal here, is destroying this movement, because we fought back very effectively on COVID. They need to demoralize us and destroy us enough. Remember what the World Economic, Klaus Schwab said. He said, by the time we come in, you're going to be begging for the New World Order. He said, we're going to be begging for it. That's what they're doing. They have our heroes destroying us. Find out that your heroes aren't heroes. But the truth was that it was always up to we the people. It's still up to we the people. We aren't going to get anywhere on it. All right. So last thing I want to hit, psychedelics. Have you guys heard about this, the magic mushroom thing? There's a ton of information out there now that some of these psychedelics, and LSD, of course, is a bad thing, and drugs are, being addicted to these things is horrible. But there is a ton of information out now showing that when they're used properly, they can have tremendous impacts for our veterans, our police, fire, EMS, the guys who have PTSD. Now, as a fireman, I'll just tell you guys right now, if you're a fireman for more than 5 minutes, you're going to see things that you will never forget. They will affect you for the rest of your life. And there will be times, even years and years later, I haven't been a fireman. I spent about 5 years doing it. And I didn't quit because I wanted. There was no money and no opportunity to do it. And I had to move on to other things. I loved it. But if you're a fireman, or if you're a policeman, if you're doing these things, you're going to see things that you can't unsee. And there'll be times even years later, you'll close your eyes and you won't be looking for it, but it'll just pop, these scenes will pop into your head. It happens, right? It's a very difficult thing. God bless our firemen, our policemen, our vets. The guys, our veterans, imagine what it is to be in a firefight. Imagine that. Imagine having to kill people or be killed. Most people can't even relate to what that means. It messes with people. And what we're seeing now is some of these psychedelics have a tremendous impact in terms of helping these people cope. And we're not talking about turning them into drug addicts. We're talking about the medicinal use of some of these things, right? And they've been medicinally used globally around the world for years and years. The Native Americans, Indians, a lot of tribes have used psychedelics for many, many years. And, they're not burnout LSD junkies, right? There's a difference between medicinal use and becoming a junkie, right? So but there is a medicinal use, and that's becoming very, very clear. So Trump issues his executive order on the psychedelics. Hooray, Trump's making this available. Except for one thing. I looked at this, right? Trump's EO on this. It wasn't a gift to Maha. This wasn't what it was played up to be. Do you know what it was? Eli Lilly got some patents, got some big things on synthetic psilocybin, right? That's the active ingredient in the magic mushrooms, right? They created a synthetic version, and Eli Lilly's got a patent on it. So now you have the natural version, the natural mushrooms, there's a number of different plants out there that have this impact. But there's a natural version that apparently has a number of different positive health effects. But that's not legal. No one's investigating it. And you can't investigate it because Trump's executive order didn't actually allow any natural product to do anything. It was for drugs that go through phase 3 clinical testing. That's only Big Pharma. No one can afford to do that except Big Pharma. This was another gift to Big Pharma. This was just another damn sellout to Big Pharma. All this White House does is sell out to pharma every minute of every day. Why? Because Susie Wiles and her crew from Mercury LLC and Ballard Partners make money off of it. Big Pharma owns this White House. That's why Bill Gates was there instead of in jail. That's why Borla was there instead of in jail. He was in the White House. We've invited the scumbags that murdered how many people around the world? I mean, look at what they did with COVID. They're in the White House. Nobody's investigating them. Nobody's putting them in jail. No, they're invited to the White House. Why? Because they're rich. They got enough money that the White House is interested in them. So these mushrooms, I mean, so you get the EO on April 18th. On April 24th, the FDA announces priority vouchers for Big Pharma, not to investigate the natural product, only to investigate the pharmaceutical products. Why would you do that? You've got a natural product that's probably 1,000,000 times safer. It's natural. Test it. Figure it out. Why would we do the same thing with a synthetic version? Well, because pharma needs to make the money. And that's what they care about. Making sure pharma makes the money. You can't patent the mushrooms. You can't patent these plants. Natural products cannot be patented. So pharma can't make their billions of dollars off of it. So we have natural solutions that may be curative for these veterans, for these firemen. But instead, they're going to have to spend bajillions of dollars going through this pharmaceutical process, getting something that's probably less safe, probably less effective. And they box out small business, right? Instead of creating a path for small business to responsibly provide these medical interventions for people, they make it so only Big Pharma can do it. The administration does not like small or mid-sized business. They only like the big money. You want to get anywhere in this administration, buy off Susie Wiles. Hire Mercury LLC or Ballard Partners. You can do whatever you want then. But you want to do something that's actually going to make a difference? Forget it. These aren't your guys. Guys, I got so much more to update you on. Some of the stuff I found out in D.C. was, every time I go there, it's mind-blowing. Like I said, it's worse than you think. I'm thinking I'm going to probably try and do a special tomorrow because I've been gone for a while. So I'm looking at probably doing a Friday show and maybe another one this weekend. We'll see what's going on because there's so much to update you guys on. Make sure you're tuning in. Make sure you're hitting like and share and follow. Help us get the word out. We're never going to abandon this. We got to keep going. We got to keep fighting, and there just isn't enough people telling the truth. So thank you guys for watching. GiveSendGo.com/RenzLaw. Please support us. Go to TomRenz.com. Make sure you're checking out our sponsors and our affiliates, especially our new sponsor, one of my favorite people, Nutrition Elements, nutritionelements.com. Use checkout code Renz. Wonderful people. Thank you guys for watching. We'll be back very soon.